Okay, get ready, because today we are going deep into the world of personal transformation.
Ooh, I like it.
We are going to be exploring this woman, Ajana, and her experiences, which she documented in a 2012 ebook called Mein Leben mit E.V.E.E.E.
Okay.
And what is really cool about this book is that it's not just like a theoretical guide.
Right.
She really kind of lays bare her personal struggles, triumphs, and even some pretty surprising events.
Yeah.
All while sharing practical advice on, how to navigate these kind of intense life shifts that can leave you feeling just totally lost.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how a personal story like that can still feel so relevant,
Yeah.
even though it was over a decade ago.
Yeah.
I think it's that human element, the raw honesty of her experiences that makes her journey so relatable and ultimately so inspiring.
Absolutely. And she starts by laying this really important foundation.
Okay.
The idea of cultivating a safe space within. And she talks about using conscious breathing to create this inner sanctuary, which I find so intriguing. It's like hitting the pause button on that constant mental chatter and really coming home to yourself.
It is. It's such a powerful concept and one that's backed by a growing body of research.
Oh, wow.
Think about it.
Okay.
When you're stressed or anxious, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid.
Right.
But when you consciously slow down and deepen your breath, you're sending a signal to your nervous system that it's safe to relax and let go.
Oh.
It's like flipping a switch from fight or flight to, everything's okay.
I love that.
Right.
And Achana doesn't just talk about this theoretically. She shares this story about how this practice came to life for her in a really powerful way.
Okay.
She describes helping a friend who was having a late-night emotional meltdown.
Wow.
Like a total breakdown.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating how she describes staying grounded in her own breath.
Interesting.
While her friend was spiraling. Instead of getting swept up in the drama, she intuitively sensed that redirecting her friend's attention was key. Wow.
Yeah, it's almost like she instinctively tapped into a deeper wisdom. She guided her friend to focus on the physical space around them, highlighting the safety and familiarity of her own home.
Right.
The stillness of the night,
What's so striking about that story is that it highlights how our inner state can ripple outward.
Yes.
By staying present and grounded, Achana created a space for her friend to calm down and reconnect with a sense of stability.
Yes.
It reminds us that sometimes the most helpful thing we can do for someone in distress is simply to be a steady presence for them.
It's beautiful. It really is a beautiful reminder that presence isn't just about our own inner peace,
Right.
It can also be a powerful tool for supporting others.
Exactly.
Speaking of presence, Achana also talks about how it played a key role in her own healing journey.
Okay.
She describes this time when she was practically bedridden with debilitating bronchitis after a move.
And it's here where the mind-body connection really shines through. Instead of resigning herself to weeks of misery, she intuitively asked her body for guidance. And what's remarkable is that she actually received a response.
Really?
It wasn't just a vague feeling, right?
Right.
It was specific movements that she felt compelled to do.
Interesting.
And they brought immediate relief to her chest pain.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's as if her body was communicating its needs in a language beyond words.
Yeah.
And by listening deeply, she unlocked a pathway to self-healing.
I love that.
This concept of somatic listening is gaining traction in various fields, from psychotherapy to yoga.
Yeah.
It emphasizes the wisdom residing within our physical sensations
Right.
and the potential for healing when we learn to tune in.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder how often we ignore those subtle whispers from our bodies,
Oh, yeah.
dismissing them as mere discomfort when they might be offering valuable clues about what we need.
It's like we've forgotten how to listen to our own inner healer.
It's true.
Right.
Ajana's story reminds us that we have this incredible capacity to tap into that innate wisdom.
Yeah.
But it requires a willingness to slow down, pay attention, and trust that our bodies know what they need.
Absolutely.
So we've seen how presence can create a safe space for ourselves and for others, and even guide us towards healing.
Right.
Now get ready, because things are about to get interesting.
Yeah.
As we explore how Ajana's relationships evolved as she embraced her true self.
Ooh.
This is something a lot of people experience on their own journeys, isn't it?
Absolutely. As we grow and change our relationships, inevitably shift or recalibrate. Some connections might deepen, others might naturally fade, and some might even go through periods of intense transformation.
Right.
Let's see what unfolded in Ajana's life as she embarked on this path of self-discovery.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay.
You know, it's fascinating how Ajana talks about these synchronicities almost like the universe was sending her little winks and nudges along the way, especially as she stepped into a more authentic way of being.
Right.
She describes these moments of intuitive support from friends,
Right.
receiving surprise care packages filled with the exact foods her body was craving.
It's almost as if her energy was broadcasting her needs.
Yeah.
And those who were tuned in, those who resonated with her on a deeper level, just knew how to respond.
Wow.
It's like a cosmic dance where the universe conspires to support us when we're aligned with our true path.
It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Right.
But she also acknowledges that it wasn't always easy.
Right.
There were challenges, particularly with those closest to her.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As we evolve, our relationships need to recalibrate. Some people embrace our growth, while others might struggle to keep up.
Yeah.
Or might even feel threatened by it.
Right.
It's a natural part of the process, but it can be tricky to navigate.
But Danana really emphasizes the importance of compassion and personal responsibility during these times. She talks about how we can't force others to change or keep up with our own pace of growth.
Right.
But we can hold space for them while also honoring our own needs.
That's such a crucial point.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance between supporting others and setting healthy boundaries for ourselves.
Right.
And sometimes that might mean certain relationships naturally fade as we evolve.
It's like we're constantly shedding old layers,
Uh-huh.
both within ourselves and in our relationships. And as we do, we create space for new connections that better align with who we are becoming.
Exactly.
Speaking of shedding old layers, Ashana takes this bold leap of faith into self-employment.
Okay.
And talks about this unwavering commitment to trusting the universe to provide.
It's a move that requires immense courage, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
To step away from the perceived security of a traditional job
Yeah.
and embrace the uncertainty of forging your own path. But for Ashana, it was a necessary step in aligning with her true calling.
And this is where she introduces this intriguing concept called the attractor effect. Okay.
She describes it as this magnetic force that draws in the resources and opportunities we need when we shift our internal state to one of trust and abundance, rather than fear and scarcity.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
Our thoughts and feelings emit a certain vibration. When we focus on lack and worry, we're essentially putting out a signal that attracts more of the same.
Oh.
But when we cultivate feelings of abundance and trust, we create a completely different energetic field.
Okay.
One that's aligned with receiving and allowing good things to flow into our lives.
It's like switching radio stations.
Yeah.
If you're tuned into a station that's playing all doom and gloom, you're going to hear more of that.
Right.
But if you switch to a station playing uplifting and inspiring music, your experience changes completely.
Exactly. I love that.
And Jana isn't just talking about manifesting material things.
Right.
She emphasizes the importance of feeling the desired reality and Nudu-W,
Okay.
not in some distant future. She talks about how she manifested her dream home by vividly imagining herself living there,
Oh, wow.
feeling the joy and gratitude as if it were already hers.
It's like she was embodying the energy of what she wanted to create rather than getting stuck in the longing or the how of it all. So it's not just wishful thinking.
Right.
There's a real science behind this idea of aligning our thoughts, feelings, and actions with what we want to experience.
Absolutely.
But you know what really struck me?
What's that?
Ajanana's playful relationship with the universe.
Oh, yeah?
She's constantly looking for these little signs and synchronicities to confirm that she's on the right track.
Noticing those winks and nudges that say, you're doing great, keep going.
I
She talks about how her MP3 player would mysteriously freeze when she was pushing herself too hard,
Oh, wow.
forcing her to rest.
It's almost like the universe was stepping in to say, hey, take a break. You're running yourself ragged.
Right.
And then there's that story about her phone displaying a celebratory image right after she got the keys to her new home.
I love those little synchronicities.
Me too.
They can be so affirming,
Yeah.
especially when we're in the midst of big life changes.
Right?
It's like a gentle reminder that we're not alone,
Mm-hmm.
that there's a greater intelligence at play supporting us every step of the way.
It's like learning to speak a new language,
Huh.
the language of the universe, where signs and symbols guide us along our path.
And just like learning any language, it takes practice and attention.
Right.
The more we pay attention to these subtle cues, the more fluent we become in recognizing them.
It makes you wonder what signs might we be missing in our own lives?
Yeah.
What if those coincidences are actually messages from the universe guiding us towards our highest good?
That's a great question.
But hold on a second, because Ashana doesn't shy away from the fact that this journey isn't always sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
She talks about the risks and side effects of spiritual awakening, things that can be quite unsettling if you don't know what to expect.
It's true. Spiritual awakening can sometimes feel like an energetic roller coaster.
Yeah.
Ashana describes experiencing heightened sensitivity, unusual physical sensations.
Yeah.
Even social shifts that left her feeling disoriented and out of sorts.
She talks about hearing otherworldly music.
Oh, wow.
Feeling a sudden wave of intense sadness for no apparent reason. And even a strange aversion to certain foods she used to love.
It's like her whole system was recalibrating.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always a comfortable process. And it can be disorienting, to say the least.
But Ajana emphasizes that these experiences are often temporary.
Yeah.
And that they're ultimately part of a larger process of growth and expansion.
Exactly.
And she offers a whole toolkit of practices to help navigate these shifts gracefully and with as much ease as possible.
I like it.
Let's dive into that toolkit,
Okay.
because it's full of practical gems that I think we can all benefit from, regardless of where we are on our own journeys.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's explore how Ajana equips herself to handle the ups and downs of spiritual transformation. Okay, so we are going to unpack Ajana's energy management toolkit. It's like she created this whole toolbox filled with practices to help her ride the waves of transformation without getting completely swept away.
Yeah.
And what I love is that she starts with something we've already talked about, conscious breathing.
It's so fundamental.
Yeah.
Ajana uses it for everything. Grounding, centering, expanding her awareness.
Right?
And even accessing deeper levels of intuition.
It's like her go-to practice for staying connected to that safe space within, no matter what's happening around her.
Right.
And speaking of intuition, she also talks about tuning into that inner knowing.
Okay.
That goes beyond logic and reason.
It's like tapping into that inner compass that always points us in the right direction.
Yeah.
Even when our minds are full of doubts and fears.
And sometimes when those doubts creep in, she uses the power of asking empowering questions.
Interesting.
Instead of getting stuck in the, why is this happening to me spiral.
Right.
She shifts her focus to, what do I need to learn from this? Or what's the best way to move forward?
It's a brilliant strategy for shifting our perspective.
Yeah.
And taking back control of our thoughts and emotions.
I like it.
Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstance,
right,
we become active participants in creating our reality.
And that leads beautifully into her next point.
Okay.
Making conscious choices. It's about aligning our actions with our intentions.
Right.
Taking responsibility for creating the life we want.
Yeah.
Rather than passively hoping for the best.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of challenging circumstances.
And sometimes that means letting go of the need to control every little detail.
Yeah.
And surrendering to the unfolding process.
It can be tough to do that.
Yeah, I know.
Especially when you're used to being in control.
Right. But Ajana talks about learning to trust that the universe has her back, even when things don't go according to plan.
It's that leap of faith that can feel so terrifying.
Yeah.
Especially if we're used to relying on our own logic and planning.
Right. But Ajana's experience shows that when we surrender to something bigger than ourselves, we open up to possibilities we could never have imagined.
So true.
And that trust isn't just about believing in some external force.
Okay.
It's also about cultivating trust in ourselves and our own inner wisdom and resilience.
It's about recognizing that we have the strength and resourcefulness to navigate whatever challenges life throws our way.
Exactly. And she doesn't forget about the importance of compassion.
Right, sure.
She talks about extending kindness and understanding, not just to others, but also to ourselves.
It's so easy to get caught up in self-criticism and judgment.
I know.
Especially when we're going through intense periods of growth.
Right.
But Ajana reminds us to treat ourselves with the same gentleness and care we would offer to a dear friend.
And speaking of friends, she also talks about the importance of following our joy.
Ooh, I like that.
Doing what lights us up, what makes our hearts sing, even if it doesn't make sense to everyone else.
It's about honoring our unique passions and purposes.
Yeah.
Trusting that our joy is a compass guiding us towards our truest selves.
And finally, she encourages us to find purpose in challenges.
Okay.
Instead of seeing obstacles as setbacks, she views them as opportunities for growth and expansion.
It's about reframing our perspective, finding the hidden gifts and lessons in every experience.
What a powerful toolkit.
I know, right?
It's like a roadmap for navigating the ups and downs of life with more grace, resilience, and even a sense of adventure.
It makes you realize that transformation isn't about reaching some perfect destination.
Right.
It's about embracing the journey with all its twists and turns.
Yeah.
And trusting that it's all unfolding exactly as it should.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on something Ajana mentions that might resonate with those who are feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed on their own journeys. She talks about this thing called spiritual depression.
It's a term that might sound a bit scary.
Yeah.
But it's actually quite common for people who are going through spiritual awakenings.
It's not clinical depression in the traditional sense.
Right.
It's more like a period of deep introspection and emotional upheaval that can sometimes accompany a profound shift in consciousness.
Ajana lists 12 signs of awakening.
Yeah.
And some of them can feel pretty intense.
Yeah, like sudden bouts of sadness, unusual sleep patterns. Yeah, even a sense of detachment from everyday life.
It's like your whole system is undergoing a major upgrade.
Right.
And sometimes that process can feel a bit bumpy.
It's like a caterpillar dissolving into a gooey mess before it can emerge as a butterfly.
Exactly.
Not always pretty, but ultimately necessary for metamorphosis.
And it's important to reach out for support during these times.
Yes.
Talking to trusted friends, therapists, or spiritual mentors can make a huge difference in navigating these shifts with more ease and understanding.
Ajana's story really underscores that we're not alone in these experiences.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's a story of hope and possibility. She shows us that it's possible to move through these challenges, to emerge on the other side with a deeper sense of purpose, joy, and trust in the unfolding of life.
Her story is a testament to the transformative power of presence, trust, and conscious creation.
Yes.
It's an invitation to step into our own power as creators of our reality, to embrace the journey with all its messy beauty, and to trust that the universe is always conspiring to support our highest good.
So as we conclude our deep dive into Ajana's Mein Leben mit E.V.E.E.E., we want to leave you with one final thought.
Right.
What aspect of your life could benefit from a bit more letting go? What if you surrendered to the flow, trusted your intuition, and allowed yourself to be guided by something bigger than your own plans and expectations?
It's a powerful question to ponder.
It is.
And as you explore these themes in your own life, remember that transformation is a journey, not a destination.
Yes.
Embrace the ups and downs, trust the process, and allow yourself to be surprised by the magic that unfolds when you dare to let go.
Until next time, fellow deep divers, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep trusting the unfolding of your own extraordinary adventure.